Hey, welcome to another episode of Chamber Chat. At this time, we do not have a sponsor. It could be you. Contact the Chamber, and we'd be glad to work with you on that. What are we going to talk about today, ladies?
Well, let's talk about a sponsor. I like money.
Okay.
That was
Me
a
too.
great way to open us up.
We like money.
Thank
yes.
you. Thank
Yes.
you, Jameson.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And you're joining us today. We haven't seen you in the last couple episodes.
We
scared you the
been
first
busy,
time?
Been busy.
We
no,
scared him away.
I love the story, so
Yeah.
I want to keep those going.
Right. Well, and today Sloan, our fabulous producer, had the idea of a story that you would be very involved in.
Oh,
I think I know what
this
you're talking
is.
about.
Uh-huh.
I think it was the event killer.
Well, you know what we always hear. When the horse dies, dismount. And that's what you did.
and you guys gave a very compelling argument for each of the events that we basically stopped doing because you had more important work to do, and we wanted to get away from being an event-driven organization.
Correct.
And I do remember well, one of them was the volunteer side of Ballooner, which the amount of work that went into that year-round, and it was our
Yeah.
accounting that
Right.
it just made no financial
Yeah,
sense.
it was mostly the administrative side of the whole festival because every year we just seemed to get more and more and more of that side of it, and we were quickly getting away from doing the work of a chamber of commerce and becoming event planners and
Yeah.
festival planners. So we decided this is killing us, not making any more money because it's hard to do a festival when the whole event can be seen all over the area. So why would you come to the festival site?
Yeah,
So-
and it was, I think part of it too is these things run their course. Like, for example, crawfish. We were the original crawfish festival in this whole area, in the region.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden, the popularity of crawfish exploded, and people were doing it in their backyards. And our
The
margins,
grocery store had them.
our margins became so thin, and it just, again, it was a lot of work for. It could have made a lot of money one year, could have lost money the next year.
Yeah.
And so it was,
Yeah, and they were weather driven, events, and every event's driven somewhat by weather. But those were definitely, if it rained, you were out.
Right. Well, and they were all started for the right reasons.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
When those were
Oh,
started
yeah.
20 years before they stopped, was bringing people into the community,
Right.
bringing in that new money, and it was great. But eventually, it wasn't going anywhere.
Well, and we didn't stop them. We just said, we're going to give you the tools to carry on. We're going to bow out.
Yeah.
And so we just bowed out. The Hot Air Balloon Festival.
Yeah.
And they just chose that they would not carry on with it. But it was a tough weekend, and we still hear people say, "But I miss it so much," and I miss it, but not that much.
No, it was.
It was hard. It was hard on the
It was
staff
way
and-
more, way too little juice for the squeeze.
Yeah, yeah, and
Right.
And the volunteers were the same volunteers, 20 years older, like we all were, and so it was just harder and harder on everybody.
I volunteered at that one time, and
What- see,
I
one
kept-
time.
I kept getting yelled at by the NASA employees,
Oh,
and I was like, I'm a volunteer. I don't need this, and I was just like, it's $10 to get in. Come on. And so I was like, you know what? No.
oh, you were working the front gate.
Yeah.
Oh, that was always fun when they canceled the balloon. The balloon launch.
Yeah.
That was the best time to work the front gate.
Because we couldn't control Mother Nature.
Right. And so
Right.
people didn't understand. What do you mean they're not flying? It's not raining here. Well, but.
And then another
Said it
thing
this
we used
way.
to do that we were the first in this area was fireworks.
Yes.
We were the
Oh,
only
yes.
show, and then everybody
Yes.
started doing it.
Yes.
And again, that was just an expense that didn't make sense at that point.
Well, and we were competing with our partners, our shareholders, cities that were doing it, because at the time League City was doing it, Webster was doing it, Nassau Bay,
Yes.
and the Kemah Boardwalk, all of which involved in the chamber and shareholders of the chamber. So we were just competing with our own members, and when you can see 5 around the lake, then You don't need another one.
Well,
It was
and
beautiful.
it freed you guys up to do the real work. Tell the audience more about what the real work actually is.
Right. I mean, I couldn't even imagine if we still were doing all of those events, because the fireworks took 5 fundraisers to do to then get to the fireworks to even blow up the money that we made
in 20 minutes over the lake. Killed me.
It was so much, and great times. Like, we all have wonderful memories and
Yes,
stuff being
great
around
memories.
for so long. But the stuff we do now with advocacy and striving to help with education workforce, so much. No way we had time. I don't even know how we did anything.
Right. The business development seminars have just exploded since then. All the things we're doing to enhance membership and make sure our members are successful. Doing the candidates forum, we hadn't done that, CCISD candidates forum, and even though that's just once a year, we can concentrate on that, make them bigger and better. And the seminars and all, and the podcast. What would we do without the podcast?
Absolutely. All the things we do for nonprofits is gigantic. But between the things that we do for the nonprofits that takes time to help them succeed, and the podcast, I really believe we're helping small business. We're really out there. All the partnerships we have now, we work so much more with BAHEP and their committees now. Cindy is working closely with San Jacinto College and different folks on workforce. All of that couldn't have happened if we were continuing to do all the festivals. We still do events. We still do plenty.
Right.
But it's enough.
Well, I think the events now are more focused inwards, and like, so for example, Epicurean Evening. We have a lot of restaurant partners in this area. That's an event that makes sense to showcase. Some of the other events, like the fireworks, that seem more like something a convention and visitors bureau should have been doing.
Right.
And so we kind of steered the ship back to where we thought we needed to be.
Well, and we inherited the fireworks because it was done by the owner. It started because the owner of Watergate Yachting Center decided to have fireworks. And then it sold, and the new owner said, well, we're not doing that. And so the chamber inherited it. And it was a nightmare.
I remember going to it way before I worked here.
Right.
At Watergate.
Me too.
People, if you had a boat,
Right.
we went on someone's boat, and
Right.
it was at Watergate, above your head. League City had theirs for a long time.
Long time.
When I was a kid,
Walter Hall Park.
At Walter Hall Park, right? There was always a baseball tournament my brother played in, and we were always there. So there was always these activities happening, and then people think the chamber can just do it. We're that they.
Let the chamber do it.
Yeah. Well, we're the they that people go, well, they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you the first year we didn't do fireworks, not one sponsor called and said, you didn't ask me for fireworks money this year. No, not one. So you did a good thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, it just made sense. All of
Yeah.
it made sense.
Yep.
But it was the right time with the right directors. Like the fact that you had the courage to say, yeah, what are we doing? Like, let's talk about this. And you had others that agreed with you. That's what made it happen, because sometimes, things just go along because it's fine.
Yeah.
What is that? Is it the 5 or 7 most dangerous words in business? Because that's the way we've always done it.
Right. Right.
So, and I would say you as a team have transformed the chamber over the last 15, 20 years into this, this force that's always working for the community.
Right.
Well, and it's made a difference. Cindy's been president now for how long?
16.
16 years?
Is it 16? Yeah, I guess so.
I think it is.
I think it is.
Yeah. And so that's made a huge difference.
Yeah.
The fact that she saw, there's so much more we could be doing. We should be relevant.
Right.
We should be important to the community. Cindy did that.
Right.
In her 16 years, it was a big deal. But having the board behind her that agreed made a huge difference. So having you there, we tease that you're the one that made all the motions.
I think you made
but
every
The
motion.
Axeman.
You did. You made
Oh, I
all those
did. I
motions.
did.
Yeah. But you did
Proud
on
to do it
purpose.
too.
But I also made a motion for, I think it was 2 or 3 credit unions wanted to open up their field of membership to credit union
Right.
or to chamber
Right.
members. I also made that motion. So I, it wasn't all axe and cut.
There were some positives.
Yeah. yeah. But let's talk a little
You
bit
made a
more.
lot of good motions.
Well, I like to speed things through in those meetings.
Well,
Yes,
so.
you do.
yeah, if you've ever been in a meeting with Jameson, you would know.
I've
This has gone longer than 10 minutes. We got to get
Yeah.
out.
well, I still to this day get people to come up and say your acceptance speech when you became chairman was the best ever.
Well, you could remember it. I mean, you could even recite it
Yeah, I
now
said
because it won't take
it's
that
gonna
much
be
time.
it's going to be a great year. Now let's party.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
were like, yes.
10 words or less, y'all. It was the best, and we hit the dance floor.
And they remember it.
But I'm being completely honest when I say this. This is we've dealt with other chambers. This is by far and away the most professional, community focused one that we've been a part of.
thank you.
And
Thank you.
I think it's the passion that you both have for this community that seeps through the entire organization, and it's contagious. Obviously, I mean we're growing. But what are some of the challenges of having this chamber that basically straddles, 12 municipalities?
9.
9, okay.
Well, there's 12,
But
but we cover the 9 of Clear Creek ISD.
Yeah.
And so what are the challenges there?
We don't, well, we've never worked for another chamber, that neither one of us that only had one city, one chamber. And so I almost see that more of a challenge since it's foreign to me than having more than one, because we don't get into the politics, thank goodness, of cities. We advocate, and we can easily do that better because we're not based on a council or a mayor. We want to work with all of them well, and we've got great relationships with our councils and our mayors. I think better than ever, and our city managers and those folks that run those organizations. So they're the municipalities, and so we really appreciate that. I think the one thing that would be the biggest challenge is when a city says, well, we want to start our own chamber. We don't want to be a part of the big chamber. We want to start our own chamber. And then they find our forefathers, our founding fathers of the organization, find out what it costs to do that. And then they realize we don't have enough business funds to fund that.
Yeah.
We can't put that much pressure on a business to keep a chamber afloat for one city. And that's what the fear was in the early 1960s, is there's not enough businesses to make sure this goes, so we need to have an area chamber of commerce, which was foreign in the 1960s. It was just like, there's a Seabrook chamber, and there's a Kemah chamber, and there's a League City chamber.
Yeah.
And League City found that out in 64, because we formed in 62. Kemah and Seabrook formed together, and then League City came to them and said, we can't sustain our chamber, and so we'd like to join your chamber. And that's when it was named the Clear Lake Chamber for the lake. And so it just goes to show what their insight was that many years ago. Even though it was a smaller community, it still is. You want to have that access to more folks, and so I just see it as a win-win. In fact, I found out just yesterday, Conroe, Montgomery, Willis, those chambers up there all formed one organization yesterday because they weren't sustainable.
A lot of consolidation.
Yes, because they couldn't put that burden on the businesses to do all the things they need to do. They're all keeping their signature events and keeping the small town feel for it, but they're only they're not joining 4 chambers now. They're joining one chamber, and so which is good for them, great for them, and all the employees are maintained. It's going to work out well. So
and what I've noticed over the years too is our relationship as a chamber with other organizations. Some of them that were offshoots, and so we had some really smart people here back in the day that started CLADEF, which became BAHEP, and
Right.
started the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and you've really solidified those relationships. So when I go to a BAHEP meeting, there's always somebody there representing the chamber.
Right.
When I go some Baytran, there's always solid chamber representation. I think that's kind of a development over the last 16 years that you've probably intentionally focused on.
absolutely,
Because we
Right.
became relevant, right? There was a time when we were a little invisible.
Well, we were known as that event organization. They put on an event.
The party planners.
The party planners. And so we needed to move away from that. I think you were at that executive committee meeting when I said we got to move away from this part of our chamber and become relevant.
Yeah.
We're disappearing in this community, and that's not right. It's not right for the people that have worked hard, volunteered their time, worked hard, and it's not right for me and for Sherry and the people that have worked hard within the organization. And so we just started showing up to everything. I know I think the leadership in Bayhep thought, what's that chamber woman doing here? But we became great partners. Bob Mitchell and I became great friends. We became great partners. We had the workforce to carry the message. They had the skill to develop, but then we were on the same page, and we brought the community the same message.
Yeah, I think our trip to Austin is the best example of how powerful that partnership
yes,
is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It really is. And they don't want to do it without us. We don't want to do it without them.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that our community is united in what we're saying, and that's how we do that. Same with Baytran. It started here as our transportation committee, and we kind of fell away from being involved in that organization, and so it's thriving now, doing so much better under their leadership, and so they're doing great.
Yeah, we got back to doing more advocacy on a wide range of issues.
And that's why chambers were formed in the
Yeah.
first place, because communities needed something, whether it was a railroad or a stagecoach or a doctor or something in their community. They were all doing business together already, whatever was in it, because there was one store and there was one lumberyard and there was one, whatever it was, they were all doing business together. And so what did a chamber need? They needed that business voice to say, this is what we need to survive as a community. And as the country moved west, chambers began to be more and more popular in the United States, and that's why they were formed. So we wanted to be at the root of why we were formed, and that's why we're not networking. It's a great byproduct. You wanna do business with people you know, like, and trust. And so what better way to do that is if you're working together for a common goal, whether that be an event or whether that be an advocacy trip, whatever that is. So that's my chamber speech.
That's a good chamber speech.
I think we've all bought into it.
You drank the
Absolutely.
Kool-Aid? You
Yeah.
drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago, though.
Yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid almost 30 years ago
I know,
when I showed
right.
up after my first new
Teachers Luncheon Committee meeting, I remember it.
and I think at that time we were like the only credit union or financial institution that would sponsor, and now
They all want
literally
it.
everybody does.
They do.
Yeah.
They
So
do.
it's just an example of how everything with this chamber has grown.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, I don't know if you were involved in the sponsorship side of it, but it was the New Teachers Luncheon was, it was $125. I think the sponsorships or the lunch ticket, maybe it wasn't even that much. And they invited everybody in the world. And I finally said, this needs to not lose money every year. This could make money. Let's enhance let's put some sponsor tables out there. Let's enhance this. And the younger committee members were all for it. And so it just,
we've been breaking records
yeah.
year after year.
yeah.
And
So
it's great to see the community that invested in showing the new teachers that they
Right.
appreciate them.
right.
They need it now more than ever.
Right. Exactly. And what better way to get access to 400 new people to the community in, 2 hours time?
Yep. And again, it's a shining example of how this chamber does everything at the highest level. I've been to so many new teacher events. Nothing compares to what this chamber puts on. Nothing. Back in the day, it was at Lakewood Yacht Club.
Oh, yeah.
What a great introduction to the community, getting to see. Now it's at South Shore. We've set records for attendance as far as
Right.
the largest lunch event they've ever done.
Well,
Right.
and we've been threatened no more people at the New Teachers Luncheon.
That's going to be tough.
I
Try
know.
hard.
I know.
This
But
time's gonna
it's
be
awesome.
hard, but it's true. And although we've done that for now, it's our 58th year coming up.
we haven't
We
been to all
still,
of them.
well, gosh, no. The three of us have not been to all of them. Whatever you people think you see under the bags of our eyes.
I've
but-
only missed one.
Well, that was your brother's.
My brother got married.
I've only missed one.
In
I
our
had
time
COVID.
here.
In our time here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, in our time here.
y'all
In
are not
40
that old.
years, I've only missed one,
Y'all aren't that
and
old.
I had COVID. And I didn't even feel bad, but I didn't think I should go and spread my germs to all new teachers in the
Yeah.
district.
I remember that,
That
first
might
one
not
back
be-
from COVID,
Oh.
and it was cramped, and I was like, oh, please don't be a super spreader event.
Yes, don't do that.
We know nothing.
But
But we can spend so much more time on it now without doing those other
Yeah.
things. Even though we did New Teachers Luncheon back then, and the festivals, and 4th of July, and all of that, we can spend so much more time on it because not only does the district benefit from it and the new teachers feel so welcome, our businesses, our small businesses benefit so much from it because they're making those connections, because they're getting to market in front of those people.
Well,
so we can
and
do
I
it so much
remember-
better.
I remember the COVID year. We still did it.
We did.
It was remarkable the way we planned it out.
We did it virtually.
We did it virtually. We had a team of volunteers delivering
Food, lunch,
Robinette
and bags.
catered,
Yeah,
and,
Yep.
and then we delivered the door prizes
Yes,
after
which
the
was
fact
so
too.
fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, most organizations probably would have said we're not going to do it this year.
Right.
But our community, our chamber, no, we're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was interesting, very interesting.
It was.
It was delivering the
It
door
was a little
prizes was
spooky.
fun.
I mean,
It was.
we were in the ballroom
Yeah.
at South Shore, and it was dark.
It was ghostly.
And
yeah.
And
Because
we were
there was
all,
a few of us.
everybody had their own table, and everybody's wearing masks, and
Yeah, it was interesting times.
Yes.
But
It was.
it was.
the fact that we were able to do it and not have a break was, I was super proud of our chamber for doing that.
It was
Well,
pretty cool.
it is just like the Christmas boat parade. Wasn't going to happen after Ike. Hurricane
Yeah.
Ike
Oh, yeah.
put so much stuff in the lake. Like there were refrigerators in the lake, there were
Cars,
boats in the lake,
boats.
cars. You're right. I mean, there was anything you could think of in the lake. And we thought there's no way we can have it. But it happened. Like our chamber pulled together with the Coast Guard,
Yeah.
with the Kemah Boardwalk, with the cities, especially Nassau Bay,
Yeah.
helping us out to make sure it would happen. And that's an event for the entire community. That's an event that focuses people's attention to our community from all over the world.
Well, and that one's interesting because none of the cities tried to do their own. They just decided to partner with us and make
Yeah.
it bigger and better.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's another example of building those relationships and
And
you know,
working together.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas
it came-
fireworks, everybody started popping them off.
Right, right. But Boat Parade is a huge partnership of all the different cities together. But it took the courage of the chamber volunteers, Jim Christensen, his committee, our board saying, yeah, okay, y'all can go for it.
Yeah.
So we had the permission to go for it.
Yeah.
The law enforcement did not want us to do it.
Correct.
And we said we have to.
Yeah.
We have to for this community. And so thank goodness
Yeah.
they said, okay, well, if you have to do it, we're there to help. We're there to support. So that's good. So that's just building those relationships with the cities, with the law enforcement and the Coast Guard, all those folks. So that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Making connections.
Yes, absolutely. lifelong relationships.
Right.
Right.
And that's one thing about, working on Ballooner from the hot days and the days we didn't know what we were doing or whatever, or the Crawfish Festival or the golf tournament. We had relationships with folks that we'll never forget. You go through the rough times or it was just so hot. I just remember just being so hot at Ballooner. But those are friendships, definite friendships we'll never lose.
Yeah.
Never lose those. And so that's what's great about all of this, because we don't regret being involved in any of those. It was just time to
They'd run
move
their
forward.
course.
Yep. Exactly. We used to actually have Epicurean evening on Palm Sunday. So it happened in March or in April every year. And we had the golf tournament in February. And it was called the Frostbite Tournament. And we got frostbite one year and thought, okay, why aren't we doing this doing it when we do Epicurean inside the golf tournament, in April or March, and then Epicurean inside in February? Oh, well, that's a good idea. So we swapped them. and it became the Spring Fever Golf Classic.
Yeah.
So,
Well, anyway, I would
learn-
just tell
live and
the
learn.
audience, if you want to get involved with the chamber, make sure you attend events, get involved, join a committee, and, you know, maybe you'll end up like the three of us and spend 30 years, you know, promoting our community.
that's right. It's a
Right.
great life.
Yeah,
It's a great life.
It's a
thank-
great place.
it is.
Yeah.
It
We're
is.
fortunate.
Thanks, Jameson.
Thank you both.
Thanks for joining us
Yeah.
for
Chamber chat.
Chamber chat.
Chamber Chat.